Hello, welcome to this walkthrough video for Pocket Drums.
You have to understand how things are up here.
Okay, welcome to this Pocket Drums walkthrough video. Okay, let's get started. This is the default view of Pocket Drums when you load up the plugin. Before we dive into all of these controls here, I'm just going to walk through the MIDI mapping. It's pretty standard. The kick is on C1 and all the individual articulations go from C1 to G#2. The only caveat is if your middle C is mapped to C4, it's going to go from C2 to G#3 instead. It'll be an octave higher essentially. Okay, let's just walk through the individual articulations. We have the kick on C1, then we have cross stick, normal snare hit, snare rim shot, snare buzz, and then a cross stick flam, and then we've got hi-hat tip, low tom, hi-hat edge, high tom, half open hi-hat, fully open, hi-hat stomp, and then the cymbals, crash, ride, and clap stack. Now the ride cymbal, which is cymbal 2, has some alternate articulations. We've also got a ride crash, a hot rod sample, and then we've got two bells. We've got a short one and a long one, but they're not on every ride sample set, but they are on the sample set that's loaded with this particular kit, which is the default kit. Now let's talk about the drum headers here, or the selector switches. There are 8 switches for the kick, snare, hi-hat, tom 1, tom 2, cymbal 1, cymbal 2, cymbal 3. As you move through them, you'll see that this menu here changes. This shows you the different options for that drum piece. So for kick, for example, it will show you all the kicks. For snare, it will show you all the snares, etc. The other thing that will update as you move through these switches are the individual controls below. I won't go through volume, pan or tune now because everyone will understand what those do. What I'm going to talk about briefly is just the transient designer here and the EQ. So if we just deal with the EQ first, we have a low shelf, we have a high shelf, and we have a mid band that's sweepable between 200 and 5 kilohertz. So let's just briefly look at the transient designer. So here on the snare, you can see that we've got it's set to full attack and it's full negative sustain. The default position for the transient designer is actually in the middle like this. And if we double click it, it will return to its default position. But we'll set it back to where it was. And I'll just play some snare articulation so you can hear what it does. For this, I'm going to probably I'll turn the reverb down there. So we're just going to listen to it. So I'm just using a rim shot. I'm just going to wind it round. And you can hear it get drier. Now let's just hear that in context with a pattern. I'm just going to play a pattern now. I'll set it back to where it was. For the global effects section, we have saturation, bit crush, noise. We've got this reverb bus here, which is like a global reverb amount. And we also have the low pass filter. So let's just hear again how we'll set the saturation and bit crush down to 0, and we'll just hear the same pattern. and now just move them back. So you can hear there's a bit of a volume difference there. Now, I just want to go through the noise and the reverb sections here, because we can right-click these to bring up the noise settings and also the reverb settings. If you're on a trackpad, you just do that by two-finger clicking them. So in the noise section, we've got the options for vinyl, tape, and we've also got this high pass filter or low pass filter and a side chain, which side chains the kick. In the reverb section, we've got spring and plate options, and we've also got the high pass filter and the low pass filter again, as well as an option to switch it to mono. On the plate, we've got two other options, which are decay and width. Let's just hear the noise, and I'll just play a pattern again. You can hear it. Finally, the kit selector menu lets you save and load or use presets. So you can load one of the preset kits, or you can save your own and recall them from this menu. There's a couple of other controls to talk about down the bottom here. We've got this cog, which allows you to set the sample folder destination or path. That's if you want to move the sample folder to a separate hard drive rather than store it in the default location. We've got this key on the left hand side, which is just for the license, and this resize button here, which makes the plugin smaller or larger. Okay, great. That's the end of the walkthrough video for the main view of Pocket Drums. Let's move on to the sequencer now. To access the sequencer from the main view, we just click this big logo, and we click this logo to return to the main view. There's a couple of other logos. This one takes you to the sequencer again, and this one on the top right takes you to the articulation editor. In the sequencer, you have 10 beat sheets, each representing one bar, and each bar has 8 lanes that correspond to the drum headers from the main view. Next to those drum header names, we've got a volume control for them. Each of the 10 sequencer bars is mapped to a white note between C3 and E4, or C4 and E5 if your middle C is mapped to C4. Pressing one of those notes on your MIDI controller will play that bar of the beat. I'll just give you a quick demo of how that works. One of the neat things about the MIDI triggers is that they follow the playhead. So you only have to overlap the notes and the plugin will keep time for you. And this is true whether you're recording, playing back, and if the playhead isn't moving, it will still keep in time as long as the notes you play on the keyboard overlap. So I can switch late and we get that fill at the end of R8. Next, let's talk about the step controls. So for this, I'm going to switch to sheet 10. You can see we have these step controls down here for each lane, and these are individual to each lane. So if I move this from 4 to 8 to 16, this represents the number of steps that you can have in this lane. So when it's set to 4, we can have 4. When it's set to 8, we can have 8. And when it's set to 16, we can have 16. Having said that, we can subdivide each individual step. So when it's set to 4, we can actually subdivide this into 8s by double-clicking it. And we can then subdivide it again into triplets by double-clicking it again. And we can also do it one more time to 16ths. If we do it from 16ths, it will switch back to the original quarter note. And that's the same for 8th notes 8 steps. The 8 steps will subdivide into 2/16ths, essentially, 16th note triplets, and then 30-second notes. And the 16-step count will subdivide into 30-second notes and 30-second note triplets. Let's just talk about another neat feature of the sequencer, which allows you to quickly select what type of articulation you want for the snare, hi-hat, or cymbal 2 if it's available. So if I just put a hi-hat, a snare hit, here, if I right-click it, I can choose between whether I want it to be a cross stick, a rim shot, a buzz, or a cross stick flam. Moving on to some of the other controls, up here you can see we've got swing for 16th notes and 8th notes. I'll just again use maybe bar 4 here, just to show you that, and you'll hear it. We can actually do reverse swing here. Double clicking this returns it to its default position in the middle. So turning it clockwise is normal regular swing, and when you turn it anti-clockwise from its default position, it's reverse swing. The other controls we have up here are wonk and drift, and these are humanization controls. They're quite subtle, but they just add variations in velocity and timing. So if you want to add a little bit of humanization and take the beat off grid slightly, that's the way to do it in the plugin. Let's just talk about the 2 MIDI export options we have here. So you can see we have 2 MIDI buttons. We've got MIDI and MIDI split. MIDI will allow you to export everything in one MIDI file, and you can just click on this and drag it into your DAW, or you can drag it to your desktop. The MIDI split function exports each lane as individual files. One of the cool things about exporting the MIDI is you can choose multiple sheets at once to export. So you do this by holding the shift button and just clicking on the ones you want. It also remembers the order. So if you wanted to go, for example, 4 and then to say 8, then to 6, then to 5, it will remember that order in the export file. Lastly, there's a beat selector menu, and this allows you to reset the sheets. So you can either reset the sheet you're on, or you can reset all of them with the new beat sheet set. And if we do that, you'll see that clears all of the sheets. Okay, so that concludes the walkthrough of the Pocket Drum sequencer. If you have any suggestions or questions, I'd love to hear from you. The email address is info@pocket-drums.com. I'm going to be updating the plugin with more presets and kits. These will be free for existing users, and also any sample library updates that we will make will be also free for existing users.